So I heard you had quite the weekend.
We sure did.
So while I was in Colorado this weekend, Wyatt was out racing the Diesel with the fresh wrap.
Mm-hmm.
And
everybody loved it. That was awesome.
It was going great.
Until it wasn't.
Until it didn't go so good. So Wyatt did film some stuff that we'll overlay as we kind of do a recap here. But as of right now, the truck is not moving.
Big broken.
So what happened, dude? How'd your qualifying go? Because that went pretty good.
Yeah, so we did all right. We qualified. We went up for Q1. It went a 5:49 at 129, which is pretty much on par with the last time we had it out at UCC. Not terrible. We made a bar change going into it. Definitely did not work great. Truck bounced like crazy. So had to deal with that. Q2 was decent. We went a 5:47 at 128. We didn't make a bar change or anything. It was still bouncing real bad, but we had made some changes in the tune-up for the truck. We pulled a bunch of fuel out of it, added a ton of nitrous. It loved that. Really helped out with some of that stuff. And yeah, went, like I said, a 5:47 on that one. Still hopping, not ideal.
Well, at least you got two back-to-back 540s, which is on par with its PB.
Yep, and with less power. So kind of worked, kind of didn't. I can't complain about it, you know, is what it is. So Q2 went pretty decent. Q3 we came back. I didn't plan to make a bunch of changes, and as the night progressed, we ended up making a bunch of changes. So Q3 we made a bar change. It did help with the hop. It left a lot better. We also went ahead and added another stage of nitrous. And we're making poor decisions tonight. We're gonna blow up the truck tomorrow.
These are not poor decisions.
I don't buy that at all. They have conned me into blowing up my truck.
Ooh. Now, let's see. We're gonna put Cummins-style nitrous on a Duramax. And so if your stuff blows up,
exactly
that's
what I was
your
hinting
problem.
to, yes.
We like Twisted Tea.
Yeah. Twisted Tea Wit likes to party. Sober Wit's gonna be real sad.
Guess Wyatt had one too many teas, and the guys convinced him into throwing a ton of nitrous on this rig.
Yeah, so I was just hanging out, got a little drunk. I wouldn't say drunk, but you know, having a good time. And the guys at Fire Pump convinced me to turn it up and quit being a girl. And we did that. So we put another kit of nitrous on it. It was really just adding another 136 jet, which is fairly big, but not crazy. So we got the nitrous on it for Q3, and that's when our weekend went downhill. So we went up there, left the line pretty good. The bar change helped a ton. It didn't hop nearly as bad, but the second it went for the 2-3 shift, it said, I'm good, broke the input shaft, smacked all kinds of rev limiter, and that kind of ended our weekend early. So the nitrous was a good addition. It definitely picked up some mile an hour in the time that the transmission was transmissioning, but yeah, it said no more. It said, I'm good, fam. Man, that thing left. And it probably just broke a drive shaft or the input shaft. Oh, that's not ideal.
And she let go again.
Yeah, transmission's broken again. I'm not really surprised, honestly. What I do and what this truck does, not very many people do that with a 4L. So, not surprised it broke. Hopefully we can get that fixed up and find a solution that works a little bit better. And if anybody wants to lend me 30 grand for a TH400, let me know.
Well, we thought the John Deere was done pulling the Cummins in, but we had to put it back for right now because she needs to pull in another broken down diesel.
Seems to be the common project around here lately is broken diesels. I wanted to get this truck into the shop today, get this transmission pulled, see what's wrong with it, because we got a bunch of stuff coming up soon and this thing needs to be fixed. My luck, I'm gonna be waiting on parts for a while. So we're gonna get busy here, get this thing in there, see what's wrong with it.
I just feel bad for the John Deere, dude.
I know.
She's been a workhorse.
Puts in work though.
We might as well just build John Deeres. They seem to be the only reliable thing around here.
Tenfold more reliable than anything we own.
It's almost like I've seen this before.
Yeah, maybe once or twice. So we're gonna go ahead and pull the converter right now. Really looking like a broken input shaft. So we're gonna pull this thing. Not sure we'll be able to pull it out of the front of the transmission without taking the pump out, but if I can spin it over by hand, we have a clear indication of what's wrong with it. So let's go ahead, see what's behind door number 1.
A little stuck on there. Careful.
It's input shaft.
Yeah, I think you called it on that one.
Yep.
Looks like you can just grab that guy, yeah.
She's broken. Right on the, right where it goes to the Teflon seal. I forget which part it is, it's late, but guarantee it's right on the Teflon seal where they kind of cut it, and it's got a sharp break there. So it's what it is. I figured that's probably what it was.
Is that an upgraded input shaft too?
This is the most baller input shaft you can buy.
So there's nothing more you can do about that.
Nope. I'm gonna try a Sonex one. This is the ATI Vasco one. They're both about the same.
Because it broke right on the shift, right?
Yeah, right on the 2.3. So it just broke from shock loading it. Kind of a common thing with what we're doing with these. It's not really a rare sight. So not terrible, not great. $700 down the drain just like that. Get another one, get this thing fixed back up.
That's racing.
That's racing.
Breaking shafts.
Yep.
The hatch has been down for too long, and it's finally time to get this thing back up and running. Once again, she's been sitting over here for months, ever since we dropped a valve in this thing. We got spider webs building up on the side of it. The last time we showed you guys anything about the hatch, we just had the engine bay repainted. It's pretty dirty right now from sitting outside, but the paint is still very nice underneath all of the spider webs. And we finally got some parts in for this thing, so we can get ourselves an engine put back together for the hatch and get this thing up and running. But first, we got some events to go over for this year. All right, guys, I'm back from my Colorado weekend. Wyatt's back from blowing up his truck once again.
That was rude. That was so rude.
Transmission's back out. We're gonna have a busy next few months, boys. So starting from now till the end of the year, this is when drag racing gets really big for us out here in Florida. It's starting to cool down. We have so many events that we have to try to make, and we are swamped. I do want to make this clear. We are currently a 3-man team. It's me, Wyatt, and Ryan behind the camera. A lot of people think we have more people, but we really don't. We got a lot to do. So I wanted to go over the events real quick that we have coming up and kind of go from there. So September 27th weekend is Ice Cream Cruise. We are about 80% sure that we are going to be going to that. It's still a little bit up in the air depending on how busy we are, but we're going to try to make it to Ice Cream Cruise. That is September 27th to the 29th. Right after Ice Cream Cruise, we have to drive back, and then we have literally one day to get ready for the all-wheel drive shootout, which is October 2nd. That is not going to be a public event, I believe. You have to double check on that, but I believe the all-wheel drive shootout with Cletus won't be public. Everything else on here is public, and I invite you guys to come, but double check on that one. I don't think it is. And then right after the all-wheel drive shootout, we have FL2K, which is October 3rd to the 6th, so literally the same weekend after the shootout. I'm bringing the hatch to that, putting it in stick shift, so we got her signed up, ready to go. And it's currently blown up, so we got to get that one fixed, which we're going to start on here soon. And then October 30th to November 3rd is World Cup Finals, which we're getting the MR2 ready for. Wyatt's working on that as we speak. We have a ton to do on the MR2. We're thinking about putting it in a different class. So many plans have changed. We'll talk about that more when we do a video on that thing. We're getting ready to hopefully fire it up here really soon on methanol. But a lot of changes going on with the MR2. We have decided to send it. I'll tell you guys that much. I want to set a new PB out at World Cup and just send the MR2. That's going to be the new plan. But yeah, got to get ready for World Cup. Then after that, we have Lamullets and Cletus in cars, November 15th and 16th. So we got to get ready for that. We have a fun thing that we have planned for that we have to see if we can get done on time. And then we don't have too much after that up until the ice cream or the Christmas tree race in December. So those are the events that we have coming up. And in between all of this, you know, you guys want to see Cybertruck content for the Tesla people. I have to get the Tesla ready for the all-wheel drive shootout event as well. Wyatt has to get his truck ready. Everything's broken right now.
The Cummins needs finished up.
The Cummins needs finished up. We just have a lot of work to do, boys. So we're going to be on a grind. Just wanted to make that clear. So if things seem like they're hectic, it's because they are. and we're gonna keep pumping out content as much as we can. But I do invite you guys to come out to all of these and come see us, except for that all-wheel drive shootout race, because I don't believe it's public. And without further ado, I'm starting on the hatch today because, like I just said, it has been blown up in the last video. You guys saw the hatch. Me and Wyatt took it out. We had it front-wheel drive, let it sing on limiter. It did not like that, and it dropped a valve. And it turns out all my bearings were pretty trashed on the crank. All the main bearings were bad, so I ended up getting a new block, new crankshaft. All that stuff just showed up right here. You guys look in this box right here. This is from Ramey Racing. We got a fully sleeved H22 A4. This will be the first legit sleeved block I've ever built that is an H22, and it's for the hatch, which I think the hatch finally deserves something a little more stout. We have ran sleeve block in the hatch before, but it was the melling sleeves. Those are the thinner sleeves that go in the closed deck H22. But this is a full-blown, full-sleeved H22 A4 with the O-rings. So this sucker's ready for a lot of power if we needed it. And I went ahead and dug up all the old stuff from the hatch. We're gonna be reusing the rods because those were still brand new. But we got new pistons machined for the new block. We have all the H stuff to throw back together, and we also got a brand new crankshaft that came with the block as well, also from Ramey Racing. So I got a ton of work to do today. I'm gonna start trying to get this bottom end together and go from there and see if we can't get the hatch back up and running. So after we get the hatch done, we got about 5 or 6 other cars we gotta get ready for the rest of the year. So it's gonna be real fun, boys, but without further ado, let's start on this short block. All right, boys, we're getting ready to get the hatch's engine all back together here. Got the block on the engine stand, and we got it flipped upside down right now. Before we start on anything, we are going to be deleting the balance shafts on the hatch's H22, which will be the first time I've ever deleted balance shafts on an H series. So for those of you that don't know, the H22 came factory with balance shafts. These are not on like the B18s or K20s or D series. This is pretty specific for the H22. I don't know exactly why they only did it to this one, but the thought behind the balance shafts was that it would counteract moving parts inside the engine and just make for an overall smoother ride. So if you guys actually look right here, this is the oil pump out of the engine, and you can see one of the balance shafts right here. And then we got another one right here. So there's 2 of them in the H22, and it has these counterweights on it to make the engine just run smoother overall, less vibrations, things like that. For our race car and aftermarket applications, we don't need those things. And after all these years, I'm finally deleting them. The reason I left them in a long time ago was because, 1, I'm kind of lazy and it's a lot easier just to leave them in there. But 2, just like a budget friendly thing. They did make the Eliminator kit at the time. I just didn't care to spend the extra money to do it because all I did was leave the balance shafts in place. I took the belt that drove them off, and when I left them in there, we were good because the oil pressure would stay up because the balance shaft was in there and the oil had something to push against. If I were to remove those balance shafts without doing the proper elimination kit, we'd lose a lot of oil pressure, and that wouldn't be good, because if you look down in here, I don't know how well you can see it, but you can kind of see through this hole. See that little hole? You can see some light coming through. That's where the oil goes into the bearing to that counter shaft or the balance shaft, and we have 2 of them on each side. They're almost like a LS style camshaft where the bearings are inside the block here. And we need to block those holes because without the balance shafts, we're gonna lose all our oil pressure, like I said. So this kit actually will block those off. And this one right here specifically, we have to tap. So we got the balance shaft elite kit right here, got a little box of goodies, got some solid dowel pins, which we'll show you what those are for in a second. But real quick, we're gonna go ahead and tap this guy and block that off so we're not losing any of our oil pressure. Plus we'll lose a little bit of weight. We don't need those guys anymore. It'll just be a lot cleaner setup overall to get rid of them. So right here, we got our tap, got some WD-40 just to help it tap, and we're gonna go ahead and spray that guy like so. And we're just gonna run this tap down in there, get her all plugged up. And this tap is included in the kit, so it makes it nice and easy. Yeah, we should be good. Definitely tapped it all the way through. We'll go ahead and wash this thing out, and then we'll go ahead and put this little plug in there, and that guy will block that hole. And what's nice about the other holes is we don't have to tap them. That's the only one you have to do it for, because these solid dowels block the other holes. So if you look on the girdle here, they have these hollow dowels, and that allows the oil to pass through them to get to those bearings, and these solid dowels replace those. So we just pull these guys out and these holes right here, I believe it's this one, this one, this one, and this one, these 4 holes all get dowels that block those guys off, and then we're good. So then we don't lose any of that oil pressure, balance shafts are deleted, and then we can get to assembling the rest of this sucker. And I do want to say thank you guys a lot for watching, because I have a lot of motors to build lately and transmissions. We just got a lot of repetitive stuff going on, but you guys continue to watch it every time, so I thank you for that. But let's get this H22 back together for the hatch. All right, guys, most of the balance shaft delete kit is in. The rest of it will involve the oil pump. There's just a couple more plugs and plates on that guy, but we'll get to that later. But we went ahead, got that tapped, got the plug in there, as you guys just saw in the time lapse. So that's in there, threaded, put a little Loctite on there, good to go. And then the dowels are actually in between these main caps right here in the girdle. So they're actually these guys down in there, but got all those guys changed out, so we're good to go. And now we can start moving on to the crank. And what we're gonna do real quick is put the main bearings in this thing, go ahead and torque it down with the crankshaft in, and we are going to plastic gauge it just to double check that everything's good to go there. And then we can move on to measuring those piston rings, get them gapped, and get all that in there. All right, we got the girdle torqued down with the plastic gauge, pulled it back apart, and you can see the plastic gauge right here, hopefully decent on camera. We'll just show this middle one right here. So this is the little piece of paper to read the plastic gauge. You can see that guy is a little tighter than 2 thou, or right about on 2 thou, and almost all of them look to be about right there. This one right here is a little on the loose side, maybe like 2.5. That's the loosest one. All the others are right there around 2 thou. I did go with the extra clearance bearing this time around because we are running the thicker oil, and with the higher horsepower and stuff, the race engines like to be built just a little bit looser. Plus, with doing the balance shaft delete and some other things, we'll have a little bit more oil pressure, so I'm not too worried about it. It was recommended that we go with the extra clearance bearings on this one, but I wanted to make sure everything looked good there, which it does. And yeah, now we can move on to doing the rings. All right, guys, the piston rings are gapped and ready to go on to the pistons. The second ring was actually a little looser than I would typically go, but it saved me some time since I didn't even have to file it. I went 19 thou on the top ring, and the second ring was about 26 thou on all of them. I would typically go like 21 or 22 on that guy. Just a tad bit looser, which isn't gonna hurt anything at all. So we're good to go there. Now we can go ahead and get the old rods onto the new pistons here. Once again, I am reusing these KS tuned rods. These are their X-beam rods. These are a very strong rod. They rate these to about, I think 800 is what they actually rate them for, but I know a couple guys that have made well over 1,000 on these. One made 1,100 horsepower on these rods right here. So very stout rod. I don't plan on turning the hatch much higher than 800 horsepower ever anyways. So we'll go ahead and get those guys on there. You can see the old pistons right here. This is the one that dropped the valve. Chewed that guy up pretty freaking good. And yeah, I'm also going to reuse my old wrist pins as well, because these are the upgraded wrist pin. You can compare that to these guys right here. You can see how much thicker the sidewall is. So I will also reuse my wrist pin. But yeah, let's get to assembling the rods, pistons, and rings here and getting them together with my oh so favorite C-clips. These suck, but you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's get them together. And just like that, guys, we have ourselves a fully built, sleeved H22 bottom end with some final assembly required. And this thing will be just about ready to go back into the hatch. It spins over nice and smooth. You can see I got those pistons at top dead center. They're nice and flush with the top like they are supposed to be, because we actually have the right H22 rods in there this time, not those H23 rods. That is the part that we swapped out last time when we were working on the hatch, and it ended up breaking right away. Hopefully we get a little more life out of this before it has to come back out. But I really want you guys to think about this. When's the last time you saw me put an H22 together from the ground up, like on an engine stand out of the car? Because when we did the rods, it was with the engine still in the hatch, and we did it kind of quick and dirty. This is the first time I've built an H22 from scratch that I can remember in a really long time. I don't think I've built an H22 since I did the one for the Rowdesy. I think it's been that long, because the one that was in the Rowdesy is the one that we just now recently broke in the hatch, because I also have another H22 back in the storage container, and that's the OG H22 that has the FRM stock sleeves. That one killed an oil pump at Ice Cream Cruise, and then that's when I put the Rowdesy's engine into the hatch, and then that's the engine that we upgraded the rods in that just now dropped a valve that I'm now building a new H22 for. Guys, it has been over 6 years since I built an H22, and for those of you that don't know, this is the engine I first learned how to put aftermarket parts into an engine together with. My first engine I ever built was an H22 because I bought it for my Civic at the time. I didn't know anything. I didn't even know how to turbo a car, take an engine apart, none of it. I just wanted the most drop-in power, and an H22 at the time was the big block of the Honda world, so I just put the biggest thing I could in there. And the first engine I ever built was an H22, so I'm sure a lot of the OG subscribers just took a little trip through memory lane while we rebuilt this H22 for the hatch here. It's been a long time, boys. Remember when I melted that piston and I rebuilt the hatch over the weekend? Those were the good old days. These things have just been through so much freaking abuse. And to think I almost put a K-Series in the hatch. I knew you guys would have never let me live that down. So we're keeping an H in there. Really excited to have it back up and going here soon. And for you more loyal OG subscribers that are watching the video all the way through to the end here, now I'm going to tell you guys that since I have these 4 extra pistons here and these 4 wrist pins that I don't have anything to do with, this is the one that ate that valve, I'm gonna go ahead and clean these up, and for the next orders starting now that grab an OG hatch t-shirt, since we just restocked them, I will randomly select some of those orders and throw in a signed piston or wrist pin in there. So we got 8 items here. I don't think a ton of people are going to see this by the end of the video, so you probably have a pretty good chance of getting one. But I'll throw one of those in a OG Hatch t-shirt order if you do that right now. Hope you guys are excited to see the Hatch back up in action. And like we said earlier, we got a ton of work to do starting from now till the end of the year. We are going to be some busy boys over here, but I'm excited for it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Just another day of assembling a good old H22. That's going to do it for this video. We'll see you later.